Okay, I love the lip, love the glasses. Looking good.
Thank you. I love the headband.
Thank
Yes. It's
you.
giving peachy. It's giving demure. Giving classy.
It's not.
I just now found out what that was about.
First of all, I saw something that said, "Oh, they're trying to figure out what does she mean by the word demure." Like demure was in a. I'm like, demure is a real fucking word.
It definitely was a word before
Yeah.
it went viral. I'm sure people are using it and they don't even know what it means.
Yes, it annoys me when words go viral and everyone uses them. So
Yes.
I have
Words
a lot of
mean things.
conspiracies around that, but
Words mean things.
they do mean things.
Yes, but hey, weirdos and weirdettes, welcome to our podcast. Is This How It Ends? Where we talk about everything from aliens to conspiracy theories to politics to current events. Is girl talk with a twist that you don't want to miss. So let's get into it.
Where are we starting? Let's get into
Yeah. All right. So is our segment called Normal-ish, but not so normal-ish. So there's a lot been going on today, but I chose to focus on Jennifer Lopez and
the obsession is real. Okay?
Ben Affleck. Like I have particular love-hate relationship with Jennifer Lopez. I'm so fascinated by her. I affectionately call her J-Lo instead of J-Lo, and I hate watch her stuff. And I'm amazed how far she's come with the talent that she has. So, Bennifer, they're getting a divorce. Did you know about that, Soph?
So, is this their second divorce?
No. Okay, so I'll give you a little brief synopsis of their relationship.
I also don't follow anything J-Lo related, so.
Yeah, so I feel like you're just you don't have time for the trash like I
I
do.
have time for a lot of trash, just not to you.
All right, so Lopez and Affleck, they began dating in 2002 and they got engaged later that year and they were talked about a lot. I don't know if you remember her music video, Jenny from the Block. He was rubbing on her booty on a yacht. I was trying to rub on my booty on a yacht. Putting out there to the universe. Okay. But they called off their engagement in January 2004, citing just
2004?
Yeah, so this is a throwback, girl.
Damn.
2004, citing intense media scrutiny and personal differences as a result of the split. And so she moved on to marry Mark Anthony and he moved on to marry Jennifer Garner. Now, I remember there was some scrutiny, okay, because she was a Puerto Rican from the Bronx and he was a melanin deficient man with a large head from New England. So, culture clashing and whatnot.
Yeah, you love who you love, right?
I guess. So in 2021, Lopez and Affleck, they rekindled their romance, surprising us with their renewed relationship. Actually, we didn't want that surprise. And they proceeded to annoy us with their love, with pap strolls and making documentaries about their love and albums on Amazon Prime, which I
So
hate.
they have a documentary and an album.
Yeah, girl. So she had an album, and basically it's just a whole love letter to Ben. And then she did a documentary called The Greatest Love Story Never Told on Amazon Prime. It should be called The Greatest Love Story No One Asked About, okay? Because ain't nobody asked. But you definitely know I watched it with my snacks. I watched it 2.5 times.
2.5 times.
Yes, 2.5 times. So the last time was the half because I needed to reevaluate my life choices. And so I did not finish it. And so
one day we'll unpack that, Janelle. Carry on.
But it was a bomb though. Jennifer, like the album didn't sell, her tours, like no one was buying it. It got canceled. She's been having a rough year. Okay. So in July 2022, they got married in Vegas And despite, like this new frontier, like they're meant to be together, things just didn't end. But I just always felt like they were both narcissists. He didn't like her that much. But at the same time, like, I'm very triggered by this relationship, okay? Because he tracked her down just so he can do all this all over again. Now, this woman is a narcissist. You know that she likes the limelight. You act like you didn't know this woman from 2004, okay? So to get with her, and then even you can see in like the documentary, which you agreed to do, like he wrote this like love letters to her all the time. Even they were like separated. I guess he wrote some love letters to her and they put it in a book. And so she used it as inspiration for her album. But she was showing the love letters to like her like staff and like producers and stuff. And they were like, oh yeah, Ben has bars, we call him Ben Affleck. I was like, boo.
So he ain't like this.
You could tell he felt a way about it. Like, why are you showing like these personal love letters to people? It was very cringeworthy. Just that whole documentary. That's why I watched it while I was high. So the date of their separation was April 26, 2024. And actually it was the second anniversary because they had two weddings, and so they had a large wedding ceremony in Georgia. So it's kind of poetic that she filed that day. But here's the kicker, Soph. There's no prenup. Look, how are you people with money not signing prenups?
Especially J-Lo, who's been married like how many times?
This is her fourth marriage.
Yo, J-Lo is like, she's the definition of that song. I ain't got no type. The men, she's like Mark Anthony, Puff Daddy, and Affleck. 4 times. So it's Ben, Mark Anthony. Who are the other two?
One was, and why do I know this?
Was there a back dancer involved, or was that?
Yes. You look at Soph. You know it. Okay, look at you. So there was Ohani Noah. That was the first guy that she married. And then there was Chris. Yes, Soph. This is a judgment-free zone. Okay, you're not going to judge me for knowing this information. Okay. And then there was Chris Judd, I believe. That was the backup dancer. That was her second husband. And then the third was Mark Anthony. And then Ben Affleck is the fourth.
No prenup.
So I think they've been separated for a while, but the divorce, I guess going through with the divorce, it was harder because they were trying to figure out what to do with this money. I think since they got married, Ben has been in like two movies, and so I guess they're trying to split up like what they've earned since they've been married. I know she's been in a couple of things, so it seems like it's messy. So I read on my favorite gossip site, Lipstick Alley. Shout outs to Lipstick Alley, because they be knowing, okay? So there's a rumor that she might go back into the studio to record an album about this breakup. I guess no one asked for this. I guess like her version of Lemonade, like Beyonce, but maybe it's like the Puerto Rican version, like Limonada or Agua Fresca or something. I don't know. But you know who I blame for this? I blame Yolanda Saldivar, okay? She was the one that killed Selena Quintanilla Perez, the Tejana princess, okay? Because if Selena was still here, then J-Lo wouldn't have to play her in a movie. And then J-Lo wouldn't be inspired to sing. And then we'd have no albums to assault our ears.
Girl.
So it's all Yolanda's fault. I'm just saying. So I actually feel bad for Jennifer. And because, she's in her 50s and to still be dealing with F-boys at this rate.
I mean, why did he break? I need to know his side of the story, because you're talking about she's sharing love with like staff, like just regular, like things that are supposed to be like super private and intimate and just, Between you and your, like, what else has she done? Like, she.
I definitely think like he wants a more laid back life. You can even tell in like the documentary. Um, and she's all about look at me, I'm married, or whatever.
Yeah,
But
he loves
you
the.
know who you marry, though. You know this. You knew this.
Yeah. Sometimes we think things could work the second time around. They probably had a conversation, and J-Lo gonna be J-Lo.
Yeah, but he also like he has some stuff about him too.
But he does.
He's like with alcoholism and whatnot, and so
Mm.
rumors where he's fell off the wagon. Now there's a rumor that he's dating RFK's daughter.
Oh my God, that guy is crazy.
Yes, he is crazy. So yeah, he's moving on already. So I wonder who Jennifer is going to marry next, but I think she needs to have a big glass of sit your ass down. It's okay to be single, okay? And you can mingle a little bit, but so if I had that money and still look good at that age, girl, I'll just hire me a man for all seasons, okay?
I mean, maybe she'll go back to one of the other ones. I don't know.
I
This
don't
will be a
know.
thing for her.
I wish her the best on her quest for love.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, y'all, that's it for normal, not so normal-ish.
Yeah, that is it. Well, thanks for sharing what we did not ask for.
Oh, anytime. There's more to come.
But we're gonna go to some like serious stuff right now.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about Boeing. Have you been keeping track of the astronauts stuck up?
Okay. I'm glad you're bringing this up because I've been hearing it in passing, like people making jokes like, doesn't anyone care about these astronauts like stuck in space? So please enlighten us. Like what's going on?
I will, because I'm like, this is important stuff. I think people are I think it should be more scrutinized than it is. So let's start with, okay, so Boeing, right? So back in June, NASA sent two astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams. It's kind of weird that their last names are kind of similar, but so they sent them up in Boeing Starliner. This was the first crewed mission for Boeing, which was a huge milestone. And what this does is that, so before NASA can certify that Boeing Starliner could start making routine trips back and forth between, here in the ISS, they needed a successful manned test. So this was it, right? So Wilmore and Williams, they went up, great. And then, knowing what we know about Boeing, a string of issues popped up, right? Mainly the spacecraft suffered multiple thruster failures and helium leaks on the way to the ISS. So that's happened. So that was in June. So today or recently we learned that Starliner is coming back to Earth, but without the astronauts. So Wilmore and Williams, they'll have to come down on a SpaceX rocket, Elon Musk's rocket, in February 2025. So this was June, and they're coming back in February, right? It's almost a year. So originally NASA and Boeing were trying to figure out, a fix. And then NASA was like, you know what, kick rocks. We're not sending people in your shit. So now they're stuck. I'm like,
wait, that is insane. That is insane. So like, what are they doing up there? Have they run out of like supplies?
They're doing research on the ISS. So according to NASA, they're like, oh, the astronauts are fine. They're cool with this because they know that this is a risk that can happen. So they're like, yeah, we're fine with it. I'm like, yo, no, they're not. No, they're not. And so Starliner has been plagued with issues and setbacks for a while. And so I read that Boeing actually knew about the helium leak. So they knew about the leaks and they still sent people up in that piece of shit. Okay.
That is insane. These are people's lives. Like,
yes, people's lives. And so just a quick timeline of Boeing's greatest hits. In 2014, they won $4.2 billion from NASA to complete this Starliner spacecraft. So $4.2 billion, okay, in 2014. 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And they would fly a minimum of 2 and potentially up to 6 operational crew flights to rotate crews between Earth and the International Space Station. So
Mhm.
that's a lot of fucking money. Okay.
Yeah.
This compared to Elon's SpaceX, which has been more successful than Boeing. As much as I dislike the man, he seems to do better in that, at least his peoples. So
Mhm.
2019 comes. Starliner's first uncrewed test flight failed to dock with the ISS because a software glitch sent it off into space. So it just went off into space.
Okay.
It's a lot of
All
money
right.
just off into space. 2021, Boeing tried again with another test flight, but nope, valve issues grounded it. So that didn't work out. Finally, in 2022, an uncrewed launch went off without a hitch. So they're like, oh, good. All right. But now, fast forward to 2024.
Mhm.
If you've been following Boeing in the news, it's been kind of fucking crazy,
Yeah,
right?
Boeing has had issues, like, their planes, like, Boeing.
Yes, they've had
Yeah.
issues specifically with their 737 MAX,
Mhm.
which is death trap with wings. So a few months before the astronauts blasted off, so the astronauts went up in June. So
Mhm.
back in January, everyone heard about this. So Alaska Airlines flight 1282 had a scary surprise mid-flight. So its rear door plug decided to just whooshed off at 16,000 feet. A lot of shit flew out. Luckily, no one got hurt. They probably got hurt, but nothing fatal happened to anyone.
Mhm.
So now they're like, FAA is like, we need to audit. And the findings were that the doors were not secured properly. They were finding bolts where bolts shouldn't be. So they weren't bolted on. And there were like other safety failures, right? Multiple instances where the company allegedly failed to comply with manufacturing quality control requirements. So this happened in January. And at the same time this happened, they're like, you know what, let's revisit the 737 crashes.
What?
So now, while this is happening in January, they were being criminally charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States. So this stems from lying to the FAA before and after the deadly 737 MAX crashes in 2008 and 2019. At like over 300 people died in I think Indonesia. I forget the other one. And it was found out that when it comes to the 737 MAX, and they were trying to, I think with the 737 MAX, they were trying to just get into the competition because they were falling behind. So this was one of their babies, right? Like, we're going to get back in there. So it came to light that the company, they rushed the design. And as a result, the plane was susceptible to dangerous stalls in certain takeoff situations. Boeing, so they created a piece of software to counteract this design flaw by automatically pushing the plane's nose down. But they never told the FAA, they never told the airlines, they never told the pilots about the software. And they didn't do this to save time and to save money. So this is critical. And this is one of the reasons why those two planes crashed, right? The nose just went down and no one knew how to correct it. So this is all happening this year. I mean, this stuff happened 2018 and 2019, and there were, I think they had to pay fines for it or whatever, but now it's being revisited. And there were whistleblowers testify, and you heard like two of them, right?
Yeah. So all of this, knowing all of this that has happened, this is like the to-be of like spacecrafts, like just sending people up there, knowing and then covering it up. This is people's lives. This is lives. This is money.
This is becoming such a thing. Like with these, they're cutting costs to save money and not thinking about people's lives. Because you know what they're thinking? They're thinking, they're doing an analysis, right? Like, will the lawsuits be worse, or can we recoup that in the money we make, right? So if people might die, but we're making a lot of money, so we can afford to pay those fees, those lawsuits. And then the two people that died, like, one was a suicide. That's what it's ruled as. And the one that was a suicide, he told a friend that if anything happens, it's not a suicide. I like to breathe so much stuff I need to do and things that I haven't done that I want to do. So That's that. And then Joshua Dean, so that was John Burnett. Joshua Dean, he was a quality auditor at Boeing's longtime fuselage contractor, Spirit Aerospace, and he was a vocal critic of the manufacturing processes used in the production of the 737 Max.
Mm-hmm.
And before his death, he alleged that Spirit Airlines, which Boeing recently agreed to buy for $4.7.
Oh, hell no. Absolutely not. Okay. Spirit is ghetto as hell.
So Boeing,
No,
all these issues are happening. They're like, we have $4.7 billion to buy Spirit. But the guy said that Spirit repeatedly ignored manufacturing defects on its.
Of course they did. Of course. Why? Spirit of all the airlines?
Yeah. So it's chaos. It's chaos, and NASA still gave Boeing the thumbs up to send these astronauts into space. And they knew about the leak, which is worse. And I don't think they could sue, because it's like going into war, right? You don't know what's going to happen, and it's just the risk of being an astronaut. But for them to know this, for Boeing to have the track record that it had, and for NASA to say, let's send these people up here, like, that's awful. But my thing is, like, no one going to jail.
This negligent as hell. This is like so negligent.
Companies will continue doing this unless they are prosecuted, unless the people in leadership positions, because they're the ones, right? Like, I'm sure engineers are trying to do a good job, and corporate is like, yo, we need to make money. Like, you need to make sure that this passes inspection. And the crazy thing is, the FAA is supposed to be inspecting them, but the FAA allowed Boeing to inspect itself. Like, how?
What?
Yes.
Where's like the I don't understand. Where's the regulation for these things?
I mean, this is the power of lobbying, right? This is the power of lobbying. This is the power of being close with government. This is the power of being close with the FAA. Like, for them to, so after the January thing happened with Alaska Airlines, they had to stall for a bit. But then they were allowed to resume flights, and they said the FAA kind of like helped them out with that, and they really weren't ready. So if you are flying, if it's a 737 Max, I don't know. But they were saying that a lot of people, when they were booking flights, if it was a Boeing 737 Max, they were not going.
Absolutely not.
So yeah, this company is a hot mess. So this is all happening. They're still trying to spend money to acquire another company. Like, you're a hot mess. And it did stock buybacks. Like,
look, I don't understand the moral compass. I don't know if there's any morality. There's not in these. There's not.
2 whistleblowers died. Like, one in March, one in May. Like, one might be a coincidence. 2, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
2, and one of them, he had already testified, and he was the one that was a suicide. He had already testified, and he thought he was done, but they told him he needs to stay a little longer because we want for another deposition. So he stayed extra, and that's when he apparently committed suicide. So, and the other guy, he got like a staph infection, and then became critically ill, and then just was on life support and passed away within like weeks.
Staph infection.
Companies they're getting really bold.
Shifty as hell. This sounds like something that should have been on Scandal.
Right? This is like a movie. Like
a movie.
You know what's going on. They're like, well, just I would be so livid. There's no way those astronauts are okay with this.
Absolutely not.
No way. Do you think they pack? Do you think astronauts pack like we do? Like we pack? Probably not, right? Like, is there enough clothing? No, probably no. They have special clothing. Never mind.
They do have special clothing, because I don't know if you ever seen the show Married at First Sight, where one of the guys he was awful. He actually, that was his job to make like the clothing for the astronauts for NASA, which is kind of dope.
It is kind of dope.
Yeah, he made good money doing that too.
I'm sure you have to use like special fiber, and
Yeah,
you have to do.
it's a whole process. So it's really interesting, you know.
It is interesting, but
Mhm.
yeah. So that's Boeing, and they paid out millions, and the families of the 737 crashes from 2018 and 2019. Um, they thought they didn't pay it. They didn't pay enough because the DOJ, I don't know, but they called it a sweetheart deal because it was a fraction of what they were supposed to originally pay.
Wow.
So yeah, so I mean, we should have a campaign like bring our astronauts home.
Yes, thanks for filling me and filling us in, because I was hearing about it, but not really like knowing what was going on. Wow.
NASA's insane. We could do another episode on them.
We definitely could.
Like it stands for, I was listening to something else. It's never a straight answer. But they're like stories of, so you could watch their feed from the ISS. Like it's on pretty much all day. So you just watch the feed, and it's really nothing most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been it's been noted that if it looks like there's something weird, they'll cut the feed instantly.
Oh.
Yeah, so it looks like something is passive. Like there's been instances where like there were things that people didn't know what it was, and they just cut the feed immediately.
Stay woke, y'all.
Stay hella woke.
Stay woke.
Not in the Republican sense of the word, because they don't know how to use that word.
Absolutely not.
They don't know how to use that word.
Well, thanks so for enlightening us. Now, normally we'd go into the Mars housing lottery, but we're going to talk about the DNC, so that's going to take us some time. So we'll definitely have that for our next episode. So let's talk about it. The DNC 2024. Yes. So the Democratic National Convention was held in Chicago, Illinois at the United Center on August 19th through the 22nd. Now, I didn't watch all 4 nights, but I watched 3 of them. I did. So it was a Democratic love fest. All right.
I watched some of the speeches, and it was, we are excited.
Yes. All right. Now let me tell you something, okay? They had some notable celebrities in attendance, like Stevie Wonder, my favorite artist. Shout out to Steve. Was looking good. I was like, Stevie must have some good people. He's living in Ghana now, so they told him to wear the hat because Stevie, the hairline was starting back here, still holding on to the locks and the beads. Stevie, sometimes you got to let it go, but I liked his ensemble. So for Stevie, they had Kerry Washington, the Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. John Legend. I'm surprised he didn't sing a Negro spiritual like he normally does for every Black occasion. Eva Longoria and Little John. And
that was dope.
That was dope.
Georgia. I mean, I'm in ATL now, so I guess.
Yeah, girl.
I'm in Georgia.
Hey.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. And we had a surprise appearance and a speech from Oprah Winfrey. Now, let me... aside, Oprah was looking so good. First of all, just looking at Oprah, my credit score went up. Okay, that's how good Oprah looked. Okay, Oprah was on that Oprah Zempic. She was doing it. All right.
That's the power of money.
Yes, her face was moisturized with the tears of Monique and Taraji. Like her skin just looks so good, right? Look,
I'm sorry, did you just say with the tears of Monique and Taraji?
Yes, I did say that. She's looking so good. Okay. Just like the Dems just looked good and sexy as hell. Okay, first of all, let me just say this. I know we talked about Repubs being freaks, but the Dems just look so bathed and moisturized and just so full of joy. Meanwhile, Republicans look like they smell like cap sweat. Like you've been sweating all day and then you put on a hat. So then you have like this cap sweat that's marinating, or maybe it's a Klan sweat, when you wear the hood and the hood gets hot. Klan sweat. They would know about that. Anyway,
Oh my God. Oh, yeah.
notable politicians that spoke. There's a lot, but some highlights were Hillary Clinton and AOC and the Obamas, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Al Sharpton, and of course, Tim Walz. And you even had some Republicans that spoke as well.
Mm-hmm. Can I? So there's. Do you know that woman that made the comment? She's a Texas rep, Democrat. She made the comment about Marjorie Taylor Greene about the Butch.
The big back Butch body, big back Butch body.
Remix. So I didn't realize like she was on all these talk shows, to talk about that. And they also had her. I didn't listen to her speech, but they had her up that night too. And I was like, good for her.
Good for her. Okay. I love us. I love Black women. I love us. Okay. You're not going to microaggression me. Okay. Not even micro, just aggression me. Okay.
She said Marjorie Taylor Greene is dumb as hell. So
she is.
I'm like, that's
pretty accurate.
Accurate. That vibe.
Pretty accurate. Right. So there was so many highlights, but there's some few. And so if there are any for you, you can chime in. Right. So
the Obamas were Oprah, even Hillary.
Yeah. Now,
Biden looks like energetic. It was like it's almost bedtime.
Yeah, man. It was getting his Geritol or whatever. He took a nap before, but it was definitely he got emotional. Just like I think it's very much a mark of a good leader when you can step aside and do what's best, like put your ego to the side and do what's best for the country. And I think that him stepping out of his pride, which Trump could never do, I think it's commendable.
Yeah.
And definitely the people in the audience thanked him. Like we really are revived now, and I feel like we have a chance.
I know I talk about her all the time, but Nancy Pelosi, they said she was critical in getting him to step down. So shout outs to
Nancy P.
It was like Nancy likes to win. I'm like, yes, she likes to win.
Yes, shout outs to Nancy P. Now, the Obamas. Okay, now look at here. Michelle came ready. All right, I'm a quote Kendrick Lamar. Is it the braids? Because she had the braids and her hair. Okay,
and she looked
great. She had the hoops. She
was amazing.
She was looking good. Look, and I have some quotes from her. Right. I like how she talked about failing forward. Right. Or this is my favorite. I just dropped the mic. I didn't have a mic, but I dropped it. We said the affirmative action of generational wealth. I said, bitch.
Didn't you like? I like the Black Jobs one. Like,
I have that there too. Okay, I have that there, right? And then she said, for years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. He limited narrow views of the world, made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking and highly educated, successful people who happen to be Black. Then she said, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those Black jobs? But bam!
Mic drop. You're going to finish right there.
Boom. Look. Before, when Michelle was in the office, she was like, when they go low, we go higher. It's limbo, bitch. When we go low, we going to go low. We're going to go to the center of the earth. Okay. She was like, wait till I get out of office.
There's a lot of pettiness going on with the Democrats, and I love it.
I am here for it.
I love it. To call the Republicans the party of weird. Oh my God. All day.
Yes, definitely. It's so true, right? Now, Michelle did the thing, right? And Barack did his thing too. I liked how he talked about Trump's obsession with crowd size.
He looked down at his hand like, oh, did I just do that?
Crowd size. Now, I don't know if you, there's this podcast called Pod Save America, and it's a political podcast. And I think one of the people that's on there, he was a speechwriter. He's a speechwriter for Barack. And so I actually saw this in passing. So they were like, oh, he wrote the speech, but he was like, that part about the crowd size, did you write that? He was like, I did not. He gave him that. I was like, I was very shocked when he said that. So, Barack was just freestyling.
Yes.
Look, that is petty as hell. Just
that is
hit him
petty.
in his manhood, sir. Hit him in his manhood.
Like Democrats have been like so all about like, let's keep it nice, and you can keep it nice, but you can jab.
Be nice, nasty.
And I think that's Harris. Like she's like, I'm not putting up with your shit.
Absolutely not.
We don't have to be all nicey all the time because they don't want to be nice.
No, absolutely not. And I'm here
and call people names, and then Trump was so offended that Obama said what he said. He was so offended. He was like, I try to be nice. I'm like, dude, you're never nice.
The delusions.
You make fun of Harris's name all the time.
The stuff that he said is ridiculous.
He's like, I'm always nice, but then they don't want to be nice. Like, and then he's all he's doing is going off on tip, but whatever.
He's flailing. He is flailing, and we'll get to that, but because even Fox News is cutting his ass off. They are over. They are over him. Okay. So, also this was my favorite part was Gus Waltz cheering on his dad.
That was so sweet.
That was so heartwarming. I got teary-eyed.
His kids made me tear because his daughter, like you could tell she was teary-eyed when he was talking. I love him. Like, what a great pick.
What a great pick. I feel like I know like I've encountered like a white guy like Gus Waltz before. But I like Gus Waltz. I love his little family. And just shout outs to the Waltzes. I said Tim. I meant Tim, not Gus. But I love Gus as well. And I think Gus might be on the spectrum, whatever.
He's on the spectrum, and that's why the Republicans got a lot of flack because they were making fun. Like, come on, whether you knew or not, there's no reason to like. You could tell that he was just emotional. Like that's his dad. Imagine your dad being up there. He's the vice presidential nominee for something, and that's important. That's exciting.
He's so proud. Like Trump's children would never look at him the way that Gus looked at his father. Okay.
No.
Yes. Now, despite the Dems being shady as they should be, we had some shady turncoat Republicans. All right. Shout outs to them for seeing the light. We had one of Trump's former press secretaries and a top aide to Melania Trump, Stephanie Grisham, and she said, and I quote, Trump has no empathy, no morals, and no fidelity to the truth. And I was like, yes, girl. There's at least like 5 Republicans that and so I'm like, all right, yeah, there's definitely like Republicans for Kamala. There are white guys for Kamala. There are like all kinds of people for Kamala. So I am here for it. And of course, the main highlight was Kamala's formal acceptance speech for the nomination, which was 37 minutes long, as opposed to Trump's, which was like almost an hour longer than that. His was like 90 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yes. And so just to kind of give like an overview of what she talked about, she talked about her background, her personal story, right? Because her mother's an immigrant, her father's an immigrant, and just growing up with her sister. She talked about the historical context of her nomination and how important it is for women of color to like break these barriers. And then she also critiqued the Trump administration. She criticized how they handled COVID, racial injustice, the economy, and just how basically Trump's administration, how it's failed the American people. Then in the end, she just gave hope for the future, right? And she emphasized the needs for comprehensive health care, climate action, and economic recovery. I felt that the speech was very presidential. She looked great, and she just seemed, it was just very refreshing to hear someone up there that's competent. So
yes, it's so crazy the bar, right? It's like, oh, competence.
Yeah, like
competence was always a given.
Yeah.
This is where, but
look, I'm just look, we'll get to that just in terms of, what this all means. But now during Kamala's speech, mind you, it was 37 minutes. It is said that Trump commented on his website, Truth Social, 59 times as Kamala was speaking. And here are some of the things that he said. So he basically said that he pointed out that Tim Walz wasn't actually a coach for a high school football team. He was an assistant coach. What does it matter?
He still coached.
He's still coached, right? Also, his post, he also denied having any affiliation with Project 2025. And he also peppered his comments with "Where's Hunter?" and quote unquote, "Is she talking about me?"
I saw that one. That was amazing.
Yeah.
This man is unraveling.
He is unraveling. He is
scary. That's scary.
And this is very scary, and people should be scared because there's no lengths to what this man will do. He's actually having a ceremony for the people that were involved in January 6th at his one of his like properties or whatever in New Jersey. There's a J6 choir, and Giuliani is supposed to be speaking. And some other person. I thought this was fake when I saw the flat. I was like, this cannot be real.
This man is a coup.
I looked it up. There's gonna be a coup. Like, people need to be ready when he loses. People need to be ready. And just watching MSNBC and CNN, they were just saying how like this is why people need to go out to vote, because if Kamala wins by a larger margin, then there's no like contested. It's glaringly obvious. But if it's very close, there's going to be some problems,
right? Because they might go to the Supreme Court, or if they don't get the 270 that's needed, then Congress will have to pick. So she's ahead for now, right?
And ahead
is spiraling because of that. Like he was cruising to his second term.
Yes, he thought, but Kamala is ahead, but it's not like it's by that large.
No, it's not
a margin, which I think is mind-boggling. But yeah, but Trump is losing it. Okay, now I forgot how long ago the assassination attempt was, but you didn't see him with like plastic, like a partition surrounding him. So one of the speeches that he did recently, now he has a plastic partition around, I guess, to remind everyone of what happened to him. And also like now again, like when he calls into like Fox or whatever, they just totally like cut him off when he's saying something that's nonsensical. And I forgot which rally it was, but there was a really important man that was like talking, but of course no one else can talk but Trump. And so he was like, excuse me, you just need to like wrap it up. Like he wanted to play the wrap it up music. And you could tell like the guy was getting like flustered, like, sir, really? And now even people are walking out of his rallies.
Yeah.
He's getting emptier. It's bad.
He's going on these weird tangents. So there was one where he was at, I think it was a rally. He was speaking to someone. And he went on a rant about how great TiVo is, right? Because it was in response to Harris's economic policy, right? So he's like, I like to play back things, I like to play back speeches. TiVo is great. Like, what would we do without TiVo? It's like the best technology there is. I'm like,
TiVo?
He was like, yeah, he was talking about TiVo. And how great
like the 90s.
So the point was he was there. They asked him to respond to Kamala's economic policy, and he starts off saying, "Well, I had to play back the speech because I like to play back things. And then he went on the tangent about TiVo and playback technology and how great it is. It's the best technology there is. I'm like, how old are you, Trump? And he's just, it is the party of weird and unhinged. And he's just like, he's unraveling.
Yeah, and now JD Vance is trying to backtrack on his childless cat lady
So,
comments.
fun fact, he's the first vice president to have a net negative rating. People hate him. First vice president nominee, net negative.
Oh my goodness, that totally made my day.
Did you see the video where this man, he goes into the donut shop and he was like, I'm JD Vance running for vice president. The girl was like, what you ordering?
I feel like the soup Nazi, like, no donut for you. Absolutely not.
She's like, what you get? She's like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on camera. Whereas Harris or Tim or Waltz, they go into places. They're like, oh my God, can I get a picture? This guy's like, no.
He's so unlikable. But I want to give a shout out to him for just putting childless cat ladies on the map. It's our time, okay? Like, we in there. So we all need to come out in droves. With our cats in hand. So I'm here for it. We just stay rent-free in everyone's mind. And
I didn't know he was backtracking on the comments.
Yeah, I read that recently, and he said, "Oh, the Dems took it the wrong way."
Why do they always say we took it the wrong way? So Trump made that comment about the Medal of Honor versus the Freedom Award. So Trump sparked criticism when he said the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian award, is much better than the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military honor, because soldiers are in bad shape or dead when they receive it. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version, it's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. They're soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets or they're dead. She gets it, meaning the woman that he gave it to. She gets it. She's healthy, beautiful, and so people are saying Dems in the media took it out of context, but then they tried to get him to explain himself, right? Like you get a do-over. He went on the same rambling shit
because he meant what he said. How you gonna talk about anybody, Sir Heelspur? Okay.
Oh my! So he hates veterans, and he's made other comments about prisoners of war are losers, right? And we knew McCain was a prisoner of war. He's made other comments about military men.
Yeah,
service people, not just men. I don't know why people are so drawn to him.
I don't know why either. Like, so I have sat. I've sat and tried to listen. I don't know how Fox does it. Like, they take the most asinine things that he says and they remix and flip it and reverse it to try and make it actually seem like he's saying things that make sense. Like he's actually talking about policies. It doesn't make sense. But what's happening now with the Republicans is that they're telling him look, stop doing the personal attacks. You need to focus on the policy. Stop talking about Kamala's intelligence, looks, and all these other things. You really need, he's offending Republican women as well. And it's just he needs to stop, and he won't stop. Even in his rally, he's like, oh, they say that I shouldn't do personal attacks. Should I do personal attacks?
Or when he's they say, she has an advantage because she's a beautiful woman. I look better than her. This man is a child. And it's one thing, if people are saying, look, he is what he is, but I'm voting because of policy, right? The same way we say, Biden, he's old. We don't have faith in him, but we're voting Democratic because of policy. If they were saying because of policy, I can understand that. Which their policies are scary. I've never met a group of people who like to work in against their own self-interest. It's wild.
Definitely.
But they're not saying it's because they love him. Like they love him. Like there was a thing like he was like they thought God protected him. There was a Black pastor. Like we could do this another time. It focused on Black MAGAs. And it was just really wild to watch. But they just he just said God was the reason, God protected this man. And I said, speaking of that, can we just did you hear the story where he got his Black people wrong?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, do you have the details, or I remember parts of it?
So he said he was on a flight with
like a helicopter. It was like
a helicopter that was about to go down with he was with Kamala's ex, and while they were experiencing, it was a scary ride, and while the copter was going down, they were trying to find a safe landing. Apparently, her ex told him all of this bad stuff about her. So I'm about to die. So the first thing I'm going to do is let me tell you about my ex-girlfriend. And I'm sure Trump was like, who? I don't know who this is. So apparently they interviewed the guy. The guy was like, no, that was not me. There was another Black guy. I think the guy that Trump was referencing was like the mayor of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, that wasn't me. I am her ex. That wasn't me on that flight. But then another guy came forward. I think he was from Southern California, Los Angeles. I think he was a councilman or something. That might be wrong. But he was like, it was me that was in that flight with him. And I did not date Kamala. So he got his Black people.
Yeah, he said, he specifically said, I am tall with hair. And the other guy is short and bald. Guess Trump got his Black people mixed up.
I mean, he does do that. But yeah, that was
him. Yes, but we definitely need to talk about Black MAGAs because I just don't understand it. And it's an oxymoron. You don't have to be for Dems, but you can't be for Republicans.
Yeah. They were having their own like little thing when the RNC was happening. And then as they're having their own little conference or whatever, which was away from where the RNC was, a motorcade was
segregated. So it's segregated.
Maybe
it's like Jim Crow for RNC. Got it.
So Trump's motorcade. They heard Trump's motorcade coming, so like people were scrambling, like reporters were trying to get into position, and they were all excited because they thought Trump was going to come, and then he just my bad. One was like, oh, he waved at us. I'm like,
Trump was like, welcome back.
So I'll send you that video. I'll send you that video so we could talk about it. But it's interesting to see that a party that's this Republicans are anti and everybody, right? Unless it's they're anti women. They're anti-LGBTQ. They're anti-Black. They're anti a lot of
lower middle class, anti-middle class,
anti-unions.
Yeah, just anti everything, anti-choice. They're anti everything.
I wish there was a way to just send them away on their own island and just say,
just be amongst yourselves. Be amongst yourselves.
That is what they want, but they want it here in the U.S. So.
Yeah, they want to separate from the union.
Yeah, I've never seen a group that's so because they're scared about being displaced or replaced by another main group. Like they're just scared, which is ironic for a country that it's history, right? We displaced another group so that we can become not we because I'm not in it, but those their ancestors, right, displaced another group and took over so that they can form what is to be the United States of America. So
shout outs to our Native American brothers and sisters out there. Shout outs to them. But yeah, we got to do this another time. But I definitely wanted to talk about and these conventions. To me, Like, I'm happy that we have Kamala running, so we have a fighting chance. I just don't want Trump to be in there.
Mhm.
But at the same time, these politicians are politicians, and no one really does anything for us anyway.
Mhm.
But just like seeing people in the audience like crying, and I just felt like this is cult-like in a way, but
It's
it
cult like
was giving me culty vibes.
Mhm.
And I definitely think we need to talk about just like how politics and rallies and all these things that we do just give
All
like
the
like
promises.
vibes and brainwashing and propaganda and all that works. Because I was just experiencing it. I was looking at it, just kind of like, it's a celebration, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's all giving us like these false hopes.
Yeah, they do, and, it's a lot of things they were mentioning, they're gonna do this, I'm like, "You guys are still in power, do it now."
Yeah, you had an opportunity to do it.
You
And
still have an opportunity, they're in office.
yes, and definitely just the key words are using like joy and freedom. And it's like these times aren't filled with joy. And most of us aren't free because
No.
we're slaves to capitalism. So we ain't really free like that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
good
know.
like, we need to hold their feet to the fire, and they just they're gonna come into office. I mean, I get it, right? Like, presidents are tied in what they could do because
Mhm.
separation of power. Um, but you look at what Trump was able to do, and we could do the same.
Yeah.
Democrats could do the same, but they're just such. Democrats are ruled by a lot of conservatives.
Hmm. Definitely.
Like the Nancy Pelosi's of the world. We like to think of them as they are not liberals, they're conservatives. But someone like an AOC,
Yeah.
like the definition of a liberal, she probably doesn't have the same power as a Pelosi, right? So I think we can do some of that, but we got to play their games too. Like we could be aggressive in what we want and getting our stuff through. Like we just want to play passive and just be. I They need to get shit done.
They do.
And they are, right? Because I think recently Biden announced that there are a couple of drugs that he managed to like severely reduce the prices on, which I
Yeah,
think
definitely with like insulin and all that. So that's really good. So do more.
do more.
Glad they're growing some cojones, them. We want big, juicy balls. Keep growing them.
I don't know if Joe has big juicy. I want to think about that.
Yeah. So, well, that's it for our main topic. Now on to shady astrology. All right, where I get in your zodiac's ass. It's officially Virgo season. All right, let's get into it about the Virgos. By the way, my husband Javi, we believe that you might have Virgo in your chart. He's a Virgo too.
Oh, I'd like to hear why.
Yeah, you'll hear, but I don't know if you want to resonate with the bad, toxic, shady qualities. But
You want to tell the good too, right?
I'm still the good. I started with the good. You know how I do. All right. So Virgo season is from 8/23 to 9/22. They're an earth sign and their symbol is the maiden. Notable celebrities, Beyonce, yes, and the current problematic princess, Blake Lively, Bill Murray, Idris Elba, Zendaya Coleman, Michael Jackson, Keke Palmer, and Prince Harry. So good company.
Good company.
All right. So we're going to talk about the good things. All right. Virgos are organizational overloads. If you ever need help organizing your sock drawer by color, fabric, or emotional significance, look no further than a Virgo. They can turn your chaos into a neatly labeled filing system complete with color-coded tabs and a flowchart.
Okay. Not me, but cool.
They are detailed detectives, okay? They are the Sherlock Holmes of the zodiac. They notice the small stuff, like the exact angle your picture frame is titled, or the fact that your favorite coffee shop just started using organic milk. They can spot a misplaced comma or a poorly chosen adjective from a mile away.
Mm-mm.
Efficiency experts. If you have a project that's overdue and totally out of control, hand it to a Virgo. They'll take that mess and turn it into a Swiss watch of productivity. So Virgos are efficient, right? Now, perfectionist pioneers. Virgos just don't aim for perfection. They have it on speed dial. And if there's a way to make something better, you can bet they'll find it and then obsess over it until it's flawless. So let me look at here. Before I get into the shady stuff, I'm gonna get into the shady stuff, okay? Like Virgo man, sorry, Javi, I love you. And I'm sure there's other things in your chart, but dating Virgo men, absolutely not. Okay. They're such perfectionists. Meanwhile, perfectionism is relative. Okay. You can't be a black man in this day and age with the S curl talking about perfectionism. Did you perfect the curl? Mm.
Oh,
I'm gonna say his name, Alan. Okay, Alan's crazy as hell. Okay, and as soon as a Virgo man tells you you're perfect, run for the hills. That's just my PSA. Sorry, I just
okay.
really got my feelings about that.
Good to know.
Yes. And Virgos are problem solvers, right? So they're there to fix it. I think you're a problem solver, Soph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's get into the stuff that is shady and toxic, okay? They are overcritical. Okay. Now back to Alan, okay? All right. They are overcritical because one time he was over my place and I was like, I want to paint my walls pink, which they're pink now, okay? And then he was like, oh no. Sir, looky here. Again, I don't trust anyone's judgment that has an S curl in the millennium, okay?
You dated a man with an S curl, Janelle. Like, why would you? Did that happen before you started dating or after?
Look, I don't know. Maybe I thought it was a natural curl in his profile. But then when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is giving me yeah, girl. And he had the nerve to be colorist too. Ooh, anyway, but he was like, oh, no to the pink. Sir, you had a bed with no headboard. Okay. You gotta tell me about decor. I know ambiance. No one asked you for your criticism. All right. And sometimes they have analytical paralysis. So they are so in tune with all the minor details that shit don't get done. So stop like being so like particular. They're also control freaks, all right? They need to have things arranged a certain way. And this needs to be meticulous. They also have I told you so syndrome. When things don't go as planned, they might take a little bit too much pleasure in saying, I told you so. And so it's just like, no one asked you. Just saying. Also, they're overthinkers. And so things that may be small, they just end up creating these big things in their head. They're just a little bit neurotic for me. And they have high standards and low patience. So they can have high standards for themselves, but they might also accept the same from everyone around them. And this can make them come off as impatient or demanding. Look at here. I don't like doing stuff for Virgos, okay? Because it could be real particular. Like one time I was washing dishes for this Virgo, okay? And she was like, "Oh, don't put it in the dish drainer that way." I was like, "Girl, it is hot in this kitchen. I'm sweating, and you want to go over where I'm putting the plate in the dish drainer?" Whoo, child, I don't got time for these Virgos. And also, they can be their worst critic, right? They beat themselves up over minor missteps. And it can be really exhausting to be around they asses.
How do they make friends? How do they function? It just seems such a crippling way to live.
I don't know. Look, Look, my Hobbs, Javi, I'm talking about you. And I know you listen to this. My Hobbs not like that though. So he must have some other stuff in his chart to balance it out, because I don't experience that, because I couldn't be friends with that. Absolutely not. No. So yeah, but they're also like, they can also be kind as well. They can be kind and loyal. They could also be some freaks. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
All right.
That part I do miss. All right. I'm so toxic. I'm gonna do better. All right. Well,
You're not toxic.
That is it for Shady Astrology, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in to our podcast. If you like the vibe, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, y'all.